Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of the Scannell Agenda. Today's date is July 6th, 2015. This is show number 26, which is entitled Ever More Water Systems. And we're going to talk about water systems again. So I'm just going to pick up where I left off here. And I left off with water system, farm, windmill, sewage. That's the category. Now I'm looking at a something entitled barrel or tube with reverse lambs. And I don't know, that's probably not legible, but we'll get to that later, maybe in editing. All right, so what we're looking at is a way to construct reservoirs, small reservoirs. Generally, these are tanks. And for this purpose, it's going up the ridge or hillside. Now, this uses a tube, and then it uses 8 epoxy pipes. And then on the exterior, it's got a reverse curved lamination. So one of the good things, if you draw this up and looking at it from the top down, you can plant in housing, kind of like under the wing of the reservoir or a workshop or algae greenhouse. So this has core construction, and that can also mean insulation, so you don't have temperature swings. So that could also work in conjunction with very small windmills at the top coming out of those epoxy pipes, which would be 8 of those. Now, this is one of hundreds of ideas, obviously, so I'm wading through this. Here we go, water system windmill. Freshwater plant from hydro pressure. Compressed air to hydraulics. First pressed, stored hydro. So you've got salt water, you've got filter systems, salt water pumped way high. And then with all that pressure, you're using that pressure as an assist for the reverse osmosis plant. Your plant could actually be underwater. This could be at sea. So we're looking at a desalinization plant, and the difference in height is 5,000 feet as it's drawn here. You could do this with a large closed inland system, canals, estuary, that is salt ponds, mega seafood hatchery producers, salt pond management. That's big. So water systems and aquaculture are big together. It's like, okay, cistern building. Here we have a 600-foot wide cistern, or let's call it a reservoir. It's a 325-foot deep reservoir, and it's got the plumbing, and it's got a shelf for the beach all around. And it's got a little boat in there. And then it's got 15 stories of a building outside of it. So it's a combination reservoir with a building. And as we all know, waterfront property is a little pricier. So it's just a man-made thing. All right. Uses are many: recreational, fish pond, drainage, irrigation, salt pond, aquaculture. Okay. Sump install gear with backhoe, sand filters, pre-built, wait for the rain. Water pack. Here's a man with a yoke, and he's got, he's carrying water. Water pack. Now, this is a Rube Goldberg thing, if I ever saw it. 16 gallons. It's quite a sight. Now, that could be modeled up pretty easily. Weld well district expansions. Okay. We want to mandate, dictate, and encourage, with the market quota system, the removal of septics and leach fields, etc. And we want to replace with tanked, replace with the tripe system, because water equals money, and money is, that's the green future we have. Here on the Cape, we always used a beehive septic system, and that can lend itself very well towards biotreatment. So I've got several system designs for sewage that are based on the old beehive block that was laid down for sewage filtration. Water system, 72-foot diameter river pipe. All right. And you can gang the pipes together. So you use a swale, lots of river pipe paired in groups, etc., and that's okay. You fill it with rainwater, you empty it into the reservoirs, and so this is immediate water when it rains or when it, so you want to take advantage of that immediate water. You're actually, in this case, using a 72-foot diameter, what's called river pipe in this drawing here. You're using that as, well, the top of the pipe would be used for a road perhaps, or a recreation area, but then under that would be the pipe. It's a very large system, would go along a river, and therefore it would be very easy to fill with drainage. So it would be best put in a swale near a river. You could use it to help move barge traffic to fill a river. If we got terribly drought-stricken in the Mississippi, we could gang float barges down and control water levels in the Mississippi using this system. Wouldn't be hard to do. Okay, heavy blimp irrigation. This is a water system, aircraft, fire, farm, and sewage. These all belongs in all these categories. So we have a blimp working to irrigate, and it's got it works on a centralized axis. The blimp is either flying or walking, or a bit of both. It can use a track. The blimp can be carrying a hose, or it can just it can take water on in many different ways. This is one for an articulated blimp, sectional blimp, to ease in the cornering like a articulated bus in the city. Same thing, only with a blimp. So we're going to be using pressurized water. Okay. Blimps. I've got blimps on the brain here, because I think blimps, for a lot of the categories I work in, are critical to gaining the scale that we need to be operating in, whether it's for fisheries, water systems, I mean, especially for firefighting, using blimps. And as I mentioned before, these blimps can put the water on a fire very accurately, but they can also receive water from aircraft very efficiently without spillage. So again, it's just a matter of modeling this stuff up. Can we do it? Is it going to be cost effective, or would we rather see everything get burnt up? You know, there's another possibility. Water caverns for shock flood. What is that? Okay, these are caverns for underwater pipes that have uses up above them. Same as it's a takeoff of something I just did. Here we have a large and light submerged reservoir boat. Okay, sewage boat. You can use this tankage. So it's light and heat sealed. What does large mean? I'm looking for some kind of measurement. Okay. So it's a 900-foot thing. It's mostly cheap, low-cost skin. And its bottom can be solid, though. Okay. Sailable ocean rain catcher. It's a water system. So if you can follow a low, this is another category that should have its own category, not water system. These are rain catches that are at sea and that can follow a low, and perhaps some seeding would be included. That is, making it rain in, a certain spot. Now, whether that's cost effective, you'd probably have to devise other uses for that particular system. Would have to pull some kind of double duty, such as aquaculture at sea. Inflate offshore rain water catcher. So that's the same thing, but inflatable. So that's, I'm doing several of those. Roll a pool. Water system. So you manufacture on site. Stores water for the dry season. Typical of so many things that you use for a little fish pond or irrigation or compost or fire protection. Saco River Aqueduct. Here's one I can remember as a boy going to the Saco River. What a beautiful river that is in New Hampshire. And then you tank water to U.S. cities by taking water from the Saco, and you can tank it to either a pipeline that goes to Georgia and thence across towards Texas or into Florida. You can divert it to the Connecticut River Valley using the tripe system, but it may be in the works to do something like that. That's a lot of beautiful clear water coming out of New Hampshire there in the Saco River. Water, brick, or block. Water system and building. So drainage, water catchment, and retaining wall. So this is a combination of a retaining wall that is built using, here it is, the pipes form the block as a retaining wall. Could be custom or what have you. Small 200-gallon blocks, but all these things add up from rainwater. Plumbing. Okay, I think. Now what do we have here? Another one, huh? Gulf Stream powered water pipe. Water system powered by the Gulf Stream that runs from Canada, Nova Scotia area down past Cuba. And as a presidential candidate, I want you to know we're going to change the name of Cuba to Cubaware because we're going to combine it with Delaware if everyone in Cuba agrees that they want to combine with Cuba and Delaware. And we're going to do the same thing. What did I say? Puerto Rico would be combined with Rhode Island. So that would be Rhode Rico. I just have little time to do much else but doodle, I guess. Floating Venturi, hydraulic pump using water. Now Venturi mill is a mill class that uses a cowling and then a propeller or ganged up. So this can be hydraulic pump and motor system. You can capture the flow of water in the Gulf Stream, which is significant. You can couple that with wind if you would like to, and then you can direct that using a Venturi system. You can power the flow of your pipe, your undersea pipe that goes from Canada down to Florida. So the power to move water from Canada, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, the power to move that water down south and thence westerly towards Texas, the power is contained in the Gulf Stream currents or the tide flow. Structural heat sink tank. This is a water system, fire, solar, farm in those categories. Structural heat sink, tank, heating and cooling. Okay, that's for a building use. Water saddle for a roof. I like to combine water systems with housing. So you've got a little windmill on a house, but on the peak of the roof you've got a little mini saddle that has water in it, and the water heats up, and you can use that hotter water for showers, or you can use it in a, let's say, a heat pump arrangement of some kind. Just a combination. Solar, should be solar, because there's two types of solar: solar thermal and solar electrical PV, photovoltaic. That's the two categories I work in. Water system and fire protection. Okay, this is entitled Wildfire Strategy Reservoirs. So we have a pool, and by the pool is space for rent. You got a clubhouse, you got a school, you got non-retail and a restaurant. So you got it looks like a swimming pool, a sizable swimming pool, and this is a high ground area. And so it's near an airfield, and it's got about 60 million gallons, and it's got standard construction for this type of a pool. Swimming with a fiberglass grate for safety, so that you can have a safe area. You know, it's got these considerations: clean, clear, filtered, beautiful water, may have some trout. So now you can come here and fill up a blimp, or you can fill up planes taking off at the airport to then charge a blimp up with water and then put the water on the fire. Tertiary water treatment, algae, gray pea I call it, GRAPEE, which is gray water and urine. Irrigation of such for bamboo, switchgrass, closed systems, willow, fuel grasses, fuel plants. All these things can be possible, but only with good centralized water systems. There's many diversions for the water systems that are very much indicative of prosperity for all of us. Hilltop dome style reservoir structure. All right, that's another thing that a blimp pulls up to. This is a way to get water up high, up on a hill, cheaply. That ain't happening, because that's too expensive right there, so I don't even want to talk about it. Water system, but there's, you know, sometimes something's too expensive, and then you can look at it and say, wait a minute, there's something there I like. You know, there's a little piece of that idea that's good. A lot of these ideas are very functionally unusable. Cost effectively, they wouldn't pay. But you might see something. If you're an idea man like me, you might generate something from something, you know, and then that might work somewhere else. Good Cape Cod water with cranberry juice. Shingle pump, water system, invention, sand dredge, wave generator. How does this apply? Okay. Wave actuated sand dredge. Okay, that's a 6-foot wide diameter. Looks like a diaphragm pump that pumps water and sand. Nice. Do it. Don't talk about it. Well, I don't have time to do it. I want others to do it. I design this stuff. I design it, you build it. That's the job. Water system. Fast blimp, fire, and irrigation. So this is looks like more of a blimp design, but it's only for 25 to 45 mile range. So you'd have hot air or helium, and or hydrogen too, for my money. I think hydrogen's probably pretty good for blimps, but ever since the Hindenburg, you know, Hydrogen got a bad name. Probably hot hydrogen is the way to go. Round or irregular shaped reservoirs, center posts. Ways to feed a firefighting blimp from a reservoir that's up high. Put a water tower and a blimp dock there and backen that up with 8,000 pounds per square inch of compressed air if you need it to pump water, and to power the blimp if you need that too. These technologies don't exist because we're not at that practical phase where we're actually trying to in earnest, solve the energy crisis. We're still in that stupid mode on number one. What is the problem? And that's very good for people that don't want to spend money on number two and three. What is the cause of the problem? Number three, what is the best possible solution? So once we get to number three, I hope it's not too late, coming up with all these possibilities for the actual solutions to the energy crisis / global warming. They're one and the same to me. These green systems hopefully will overtake these old dinosaur systems before the Earth spins off its axis into the sun or whatnot. You know, we burn up from all this heat. This global warming is like the Peconic Bay disaster. The death feeds on death. Death begets more death in the environment. You're going down a slope, that slippery slope, as they say. And these systems that we don't like seeing coming our way are going to escalate very quickly, I believe, beyond our wildest nightmare. And if that happens, we will want to be ready with these mega systems that actually solve the problem and get us off the fossil fuels and back into the sensible green energy where we belong. Integrated strategic water reserves, water systems, and buffer drought. We want to buffer the drought. We want fire protection in conjunction with harvesting the fuels that get dried up and are tinder, ready to burst into flame at the drop of a match. Okay, via pipe, the tripe, via rail, the tripe, and via air, the blimp. Sell more water.
5 minutes.
Thank you. Sell more water at Love Power Grid Consortium Water Authority. So, I didn't mention this, but with a national water system, you're going to want local water authorities working in conjunction with the, what do you want to call it? I've been calling it the Love Power Grid Consortium, which would be the legal financial entity for this tripe system. But I've since wanted to change the name of this, and it's early on, so it doesn't really matter. People haven't heard of this stuff. Change it to United Utility Grid System, UUGS. Sell more water at regulated market rates. That is older utility philosophy. So we want to use these older utility philosophies, not the new Enron style. You know, we don't want to be ripping people off here. We want a true public system, not Enron style rip-offs, which all started in Texas. Storm water, reclaim and filter. So this is part of an integration of strategic water reserves. Storm, reclaim, and filter. Conservation, that is getting into our bioproducts, number 1 and number 2. Dump the flush campaign, you know. Separation of, okay. All right. 4-mile water pipe tanker. This is a large water tanker, 4 miles long. Water system, societal services system and penal. reef wave generator port. Use a tide jack to raise the pipe in a camel. Oh, okay. This is very innovative stuff. This is a tidal system. Tidal power is using the rise and fall of the tides. There's two tidals, like there's two solars. There's horizontal and vertical, basically. So your horizontal is your currents or your tides, and your, well, fishermen call them tides. And then your 2 minutes, thank you. Your other is, anyway, by the moon tides, you get both current and vertical, and all right. So we have a prison on board, looks like a large vessel, 4-mile camel. There's a lot of horsepower to be had in a short throw, using a lot of weight with the tides. The Bay of Fundy tides are enormous. Okay, water system, military. I don't know if I can go with this. I think because I labeled it water system first. I have military ideas which are not for the public. So this is Army tank brush breaker. Yeah, this is good. So an Army tank style brush breaker, and it's a hose puller. So no fire is needed. Thank you. No fire is needed. Prelay the lines, and over the hill and over the dale, CBs to the rescue. Remember the construction battalion. So these are firefighting with more conventional. That looks like a lot of fun, to be a firefighter on board a water cannon loaded onto what looks like a huge tank. All right, folks. More water systems here. I might just keep going with the water systems. But thanks for watching the Scannell Agenda. These water systems are very important, so I'd like to work with others on these water systems and the Unified Utility Grid System. Thank you very much, Cape Codders.